All right, guys, welcome back to Mobility Wednesday. First thing you're going to do is jump up and land. That is going to be your starting position. We're going to reach up towards the sky. Big stretch here. Swan dive forward. Halfway lift, flattening out the back, feeling into the hamstrings and grabbing either side of the elbows and swaying side to side here. We're going to halfway lift again, pushing back into those heels. And swan diving forward again. Dead man's hang again. You want to try and move those elbows to behind your ears here. And halfway lift. We're going to forward fold again. Walk the hands out, walk the feet back into downward dog. Here we're going to be pedaling out the feet, really feeling into the hamstring stretch here. Call this an active downward dog. So we're moving through the stretch. Next, you're going to meet into a plank position. We're going to hold this plank and really focus on engaging all parts of our core here. So we want the pelvic floor to be engaged. You want to think about tucking your ribs down and maintaining that breath through the whole thing. Slowly lower to the ground. Hands are on either side of your chest, right next to your boobs or your chest or your pecs. You're going to halfway lift and then lower back down to the ground. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. This next time, we're going to come all the way up into that full extension. Let that chest come all the way up. We're going to look to the left and the right, playing around with our neck and just lightly stretching it out. So we're going to look over to the right, back to center, and over to the left, all the way to the right, down, tuck that chin to the chest, breathing here, and let that head come back to neutral, lower back down to the ground. You're going to untuck the toes, and we're going to push up into that plank position again. Holding here, maintaining that breath, and then meeting back in that downward facing dog. Active downward dog here, pedaling out the feet, breathing through these movements. Next, you're going to let your right leg come all the way up to the sky, playing around with the weight on your hands here. You want to try and even that out, even though we're taking away that right leg stability. All right, we're going to let that right leg come over to the left side of the body. Nice side body stretch here. Breathing in and out. Really allowing that side body to open up. You're going to bring that right leg all the way to the top of the mat next to your hands. Your hands should be on the inside of your right foot. High runner's lunge here. We're going to play around with this position. Dropping that back leg and untucking the toe. We're going to hold here. Now we're going to do something a little different in runner's lunge today. We're going to rotate that hip out. So you're going to roll onto the side of the foot, let the knee come out towards the right, and then bring it back to the center. You want to play around with your hip joint here and just kind of loosen up that hip socket. We're going to roll about 5 times. Now we're going to drop that inside elbow and reach up to the sky for 5 rotations. inhaling and exhaling through this entire stretch, and really making sure that we're tuning into what our body is asking of us today. We're going to come down into that low runner's lunge here. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. We're going to come back to our hands. Bring that right foot to the inside, to the center of your mat. One hand is on either side of the right foot. Gonna hold here, give yourself a nice little squeeze. Then we're gonna push back into that stretch. Let that right leg be straight, just stretching out all of that bent work we just did. Coming back to center here, you're going to straighten out that left leg, find activity, and come back into downward dog. Pedal out your feet, active downward dog, inhaling and exhaling. Coming back to meet in that plank, maintaining that breath. Inhale and exhale, slowly lower down. Hands on either side of your chest again. And halfway lift and lower back down. Halfway lift and lower. Big inhale here. Exhale, come all the way up into that full extension. Up dog, let the neck release. Play around with whatever feels right to you here. Today, forward and backwards was what was feeling best. If you're carrying a lot of stress and tension, make sure you give your neck just a little bit of extra love. You do want to be careful when stretching the neck. You don't want to go past any discomfort is okay, but pain is not. So if you feel any kind of pain, please stop. Come back down to the mat, wiggle out your trunk, ground through the hips, and push up into that downward dog. You can always push up on your knees, or if you're more advanced, you can do that strict push-up. We're going to do the opposite leg here. So the left leg is going to go nice and high towards the sky. Finding stability through both hands and then draping that leg over to the right side of the body. Nice side body stretch for the left side. Coming back to center, we're going to bring that left leg all the way forward. Both hands are going to be on the inside of the left leg here, holding. Inhaling and exhaling here. We're going to do that same thing. So we're going to rotate that hip out towards the left side. So we're going to roll the foot out and in. Dropping that back knee. And we're going to start that external rotation. Externally rotating that hip out to the left and bringing it back to the center. You can think of this as like opening and closing the gate of the hip. Next, we're going to come back to a seated position. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. I think one of the kids might have cut off the video, but you would do the opposite. So you would straighten out that left leg. But we're going to move into some cat-cows here. So you're going to inhale, arch up, exhale, let that belly come loose and down. Inhale, arch up, big cat position. And exhale, let that chest come forward. Inhale, arch up. Exhale, chest and belly come forward. Inhale, cat. And we're going to come back to a neutral position. We're going to push back into those heels into a child's pose. And we're going to do some rotations here. So we're going to thread the needle over to the right side of the body and then extend up to the left. So we're laying on that shoulder. We're going to do 5 rotations on each side, compressing and releasing, stretching up. Holding in that position, that threaded needle, giving a lot of love to that left shoulder. We're going to release and come back to center, push back into that wide child's pose. And then we're going to do the opposite side. So we're going to reach through, lay on that right shoulder, and then reach up to the right 5 times on each side. You come back to center, push back into the heels. Coming back to the mat here. You're going to take 1 foot wide and you're going to come up on your left knee. You're going to extend side body stretch. Nice big side body stretch here. Can drop the hand to the mat. Play around with what feels good for you today. And then you're going to sit back onto the mat and then you're going to come up and extend. So this is kind of a different position than what we've done in previous mobility videos. You want to be extending and compressing that hip flexor here. So you're going to compress and then extend. The inhale should be inhale and exhale, come up. Push those hips forward. Inhale, sit back down. Exhale, extend. Good. You're going to come back to center here and we're going to do that opposite side. So we're going to kick that foot out and extend over to the left side of the body. Oh, to the right side, stretching out the left side of the body. Breathing here. We're going to compress back down and extend. Again, inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale, extend. Coming back to center now, we're going to drop to the center here, let our feet go nice and wide and push back into that straddle position. Depending on where you're at or your anatomy, some of us have really long arms, longer torsos. You're just going to feel into this stretch of the straddle. You're going to bring it over to the left side. Again, we're doing a lot of side body stretching today, really opening up and twisting through that spine. Back to center and over to the right side. Back to center here. And back into that. We're going to go into a pigeon pose here. Holding on that hip, opening up. and bringing it down. Inhaling and exhaling. We're going to be here for quite a minute. Really allowing those hips to open up. And coming down into that low pigeon. Okay, slowly we are going to come up out of that pigeon pose. Holding in that upward position, you're going to roll onto your hip and bring that back leg in. You're going to do some cat-cows here. So you're going to arch your back and then you're going to go into a cow. Hands go on the knees. This is a really great way to practice cat-cows and challenge your hips in a different way. So practice that fishbowl. So think of your pelvis as a fishbowl. You're tucking it forward and then you're tucking it back, letting the water come out. We're going to come back up into downward facing dog, pedal out the feet, work out all of the toxins and the lactic acid that we've built up in that long pigeon pose. And we're going to switch sides. So we're going to start in that high pigeon here. And working our way down into low pigeon. And we are going to repeat those pelvic tilts and cat-cows on the opposite side. So again, you're thinking of that fishbowl. You're letting the water come back, and then you're letting it dump out, tilting your pelvis as if it were a bowl. So holding the water in, dumping it back out. Pushing back into that downward facing dog, pedaling out those feet, side to side movement here. And we're gonna walk those hands up to meet. And you're gonna take one nice big inhale. Let the arms hang. Thank your body for showing up today and stretching. And when you're ready, you'll slowly rise up to the top, and we'll see you back here next week for another mobility flow. Hope you guys enjoyed this one.